And that's why you always got to sign up. What's going on, everybody? This is the Cover Band Confidential Podcast, the podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn to rock more and suck less. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
So this was like supposed to be the week of gigs galore, and some of them are happening, or happened, are in the progress of happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to the rest of it a bit later. How's it been going?
You know, not bad. Not bad. I'm feeling better and stronger every day, and still walking manually. Did I talk to you about that before? If I just get up and go somewhere, I limp there.
Okay.
And it's not because my foot hurts and I need to limp. It's because my brain now thinks that I limp. My brain has decided like my nervous system now identifies as a limper.
Interesting.
And it's not physically necessary, and actually it hurts my back after a while from doing it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so every step now takes conscious effort to stay even and symmetrical and have a square gait rather than a limp. And that is surprisingly exhausting. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Fantastic. So it's Memorial Day right now.
Yes.
We pushed I was playing last night, so we couldn't do it. So why don't we just go through what's been going on this week? We'll just do a recap on all the gigs and all the things, and then we'll kind of see where we go from there.
Yeah.
So this was supposed to be the week where I had 4 gigs in 7 days. As of today, we have done 2 of those gigs. Okay. I had a solo acoustic thing that was on Saturday, and it was supposed to be like a yacht club themed thing at the gym that I've been playing at. And it was one of those things where like a lot of time and effort was put into this event and nobody showed up because it was the holiday weekend, and they kind of knew it was coming, but I literally played to like 2 people, including the person who booked me. And at some point I did have to go like, you know what? You don't have to clap. It's okay. Like, it doesn't hurt my feelings. You know, it's not that big of a deal. Interestingly enough, there was a couple of folks that were at the pool, because it was at the pool, that were not a part of the event, but were just around listening to the music and ended up tipping me at the end of the night. So, you know, I was entertaining 2 people, just not in front of me. And
yeah, that's good.
Just kind of, I mean, that is the way that these things typically go, when your job is to just kind of set a mood and a vibe. You know, whoever's in proximity is going to catch it, whether you're the focal point or not. So it all worked out. I'm back there on June 6th, and it's another deal where I'll be at the actual pool itself, which will be, you know, much more productive, I think, than the ones that we've been trying to do up to this point.
Just a regular weekend day.
Yeah. Just a dude at the pool playing tunes.
Yeah, those are fun gigs. I will say I'm impressed that you got tips worth mentioning. Most of the tips that I get at that are 6-year-olds running up and dumping a handful of sticky change in the bucket. Those do not tend to be big tipping things in my experience.
Well, in this case, it was a Venmo tip, so you know, they didn't have to have cash on hand.
There you go.
That's why it's important to make sure that you've got all of your monetary touch points available, because
Get those QRs on point.
Absolutely. Also got a chance to play stuff I don't normally play or have never played before. One that I really enjoyed doing was Torn, Natalie Imbruglia.
Cool. All right.
I hadn't played it before, and after transposing it, I was able to like play it in that like those open E shape chords.
Yeah.
So it was down, I think, like a half step or a whole step from the recording. Kind of hit in the right frame and like sounded good playing wise, and I was like, oh well, we're sticking with that.
That's fun.
Also did For the Longest Time, Billy Joel.
Nice.
I've never done that one. That was fun.
Yeah, I've never done that one.
It was just kind of like going through your song list, because again, there's nobody there.
Right.
Like, what are you gonna do? I did like Hysteria, Def Leppard, like just a bunch of stuff that I don't normally or never have tried, because the stakes were low.
You're just scrolling through Ultimate Guitar and like, it looks fun.
Yeah, like I know how this goes. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't.
Yeah.
It was also my first opportunity to try these out.
Ooh.
So for those of you who are not watching this on YouTube, though you should, curiosity got the best of me, and I ended up buying a set of these Meta Ray-Bans.
Okay.
I opted to go with the transition lenses. So when you put them on, now I will, you know, we'll put them on just for funsies, for those of people who are watching them. They are a standard kind of like Wayfarer shape and size, a little bit thicker.
Yes.
But these have the transition lenses, so when you go outside, you know, they get darker and lighter. This thing just started beeping at me. And there's a lot of cool, like, fringe benefits of it. They are a Bluetooth headset, So you can listen to stuff through them. It just plays like a very low volume, like directly into your ear.
Yeah. Could you set up your click into it?
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah. Wow.
That's assuming you're not using any other kind of monitoring.
Yeah, but what if your glasses were your monitors? Is what I'm saying.
They could be.
Yeah.
Though I will say the battery life probably wouldn't make it through an entire gig. The intent for this was to just basically have a POV shot and put some content together. And it works incredibly well. As far as the transparency, ease of use thing, it is pretty phenomenal. So on the top of the right arm, there's a button. And if you click it once, it takes a picture using these cameras. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it when I do this, but there's a little light that flashes.
Yep.
You see that?
I do.
So that it just took a picture. And then when you go to record it, it stays on. So people know that you're being a creep.
Yeah.
But it was really awesome to be able to kind of capture footage throughout the process of setting up, performing, tearing down, without really having to like stop what you're doing. So in that sense, it was a huge win because I was able to shoot footage that I wouldn't normally get to or remember to.
Yeah.
It worked so well that I opted to take them to our gig yesterday, which was the live band karaoke gig, and did the same thing, kind of wore them through setup and soundcheck, played a couple of songs, and then started passing them around. So we have POV from like multiple players.
Nice.
And it'll be like a neat way to kind of put that together for a little sizzle reel for socials. On the whole, I think these are a fantastic option. They're a little pricey.
What do they run?
These with the transition lenses are more expensive. They're $379 US.
Okay.
The regular just either glasses or sunglasses are $329. I got these from Sunglass Hut, who is owned by Luxottica, who owns all of these brands.
Yeah.
And they have an extended warranty whatever deal, and it was $50, and it covers like full whatever. It is basically like an insurance policy.
Okay.
And the deductible is $100. So, if you bust them, they will replace them for all in like half the price of a pair. I'm hoping to not have to get there.
And presumably they do them with prescriptions or, even,
Yep.
Progressive lenses, like in my normal glasses, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Huh. It's interesting. I was at a work conference, maybe a year and a half ago when those were like really brand new. And the guy who is the CEO of the company that put on the conference, like opened the conference with a pair of them and with the Facebook stream he was doing off of them live on the screen behind him.
Yep.
It was pretty neat. It was,
yeah.
They were a giveaway for
right.
a door prize at some point, but he warmed them up.
Yeah. And I mean, you can stream directly to Facebook and Instagram from these, not TikTok, obviously, because, we know why. We all know why.
Yeah.
There's an AI component to it, but I immediately turned it off because it like gravely impacts the battery life when it's constantly listening for stuff.
Sure.
Another fun thing is I went to go like check out what they looked like on my face because I hadn't done that yet. And I walked into the bathroom at this venue and they go blah, 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 and they turn themselves off.
Huh.
So it like knows.
Huh. That's wild.
It's one of those things you wouldn't have thought about until like it's presented to you.
No, it makes great sense. I'm just churning on like how did it figure that out? Does it have
Well, it's clearly looking
a vision model of what bathrooms look like. Clearly.
Yeah. I'm assuming it was just, I just stood in front of a mirror with a bunch of sinks in it. So I think they just like extrapolated.
Yeah.
Think of that what you will. I'm trying to not think about it too much.
Right.
Again, this is a means to an end for content purposes. I don't intend on wearing these in my day-to-day life, only when, capturing things is necessary.
Yep.
But I think the proof of concept has been proof of concepted. So I will be continuing to shoot stuff with it. We've got another gig coming up on Saturday. There was supposed to be one on Tuesday. It got canceled. And I'll just leave it at that. Extenuating circumstances, I suppose. But the weather has also been an issue. It has rained at every single gig we've done so far. Not a lot, but enough where, it was something to be cognizant of and concerned about. It's supposed to rain basically every day this week where we are. And the gig on Saturday is supposed to be outdoors, and so we'll just have to see about that.
Right.
Oh, speaking of this gig, this is a 40th anniversary party for like a Monsignor of a particular parish. They hired us like, just totally out of the blue. And they made a request for You Call Me Al by Paul Simon.
Sure.
But I got an email with a full set of lyrics. So somebody on that team wrote their own version of...
They want you to do a parody. They want you to do...
Yes. So this guy's name is Rao. So...
Call me Rao.
You know, you can call me Rao, Monsignor Rao. Every single line has like a personalized thing in it.
Well, that's effort.
Yeah, and I will be utilizing that prompter screen judiciously to get through this thing, because it is that's a lot of words.
Yeah.
Speaking of words, live band karaoke gig. This was a public date, which I don't recommend.
Yeah.
Live band karaoke publicly is a bit of a mess, and it turned out to be also a mess there. This is a gig that I cried at more than I think I ever have. There's a lot of like kids stuff going on. There was like sing-alongs, and kids would come up with their parents, whatever. It was really cute and sweet. And I was like, I miss having little kids like that. And yes, I caught the vapors a couple of times and had to like pull it together.
Yeah.
This was the first time we'd ever done live band karaoke with our new keyboardist, MK. She did fantastic.
Great.
Setup was good. We ran all of our stuff. There was a couple of technical issues. The lyrics setup that we have been using is proving to be less than reliable. And so moving forward, we'll probably have to come up with a better solution for that. Other than a couple of just full-blown clam bakes, it was pretty good. Excellent. There was a guy who didn't have any business singing a song that didn't have some sort of structure to it, and he chose to do Glycerine, and we just kind of like flailed for like 90 seconds and then just like wrapped it up because it wasn't going to get going. No. But the other thing that happened was that somebody wanted to do Fast Car, and the lyrics died like halfway through. Oh. And yeah, you're not going to find your way back on that. I got the lyrics back up, but it was just like, ooh. So new plan for those. Maybe it's time to hit up our black box friend about getting something that's baked into the wedge itself.
Yeah, I guess I see the point of that. We're trying to get him on, right? We're trying to have a conversation with him on the pod. So yeah. I would definitely take a demo unit because I'm gonna be back in the karaoke game before too long. So
I was like, I don't really like. I've already got the AV thing. I don't necessarily need it to do all this stuff, and now I feel like I might have been a bit hasty.
You know where your system failed?
So the adapter that I normally bring, I forgot. And so I had to go to like Target and get whatever they had. And it would just kind of periodically just kind of drop connection. And they would come back, but I couldn't account for when it would or wouldn't. And so I was at the point where I was like literally resetting, like relaunching Band Helper between every single song in hopes that it doesn't, it wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Not great. But speaking of gear that did do well, I opted to play the power stage through a mic'd cab at this thing, and it was incredible. It was so good. I was like shocked because we did nothing. They took the same line that I normally run direct. They patched in my 906 onto this cabinet. I mean, I adjusted the gain slightly on the output of the speaker, and that was it. Nobody Joey, our guitar player, had no idea. I was like, that sounds good, right? He's like, what do you mean? It's like, that's a cabinet. He's like, oh, okay. So, I mean, you can't argue with that.
Here's the thing though. So in the last few weeks, you've gone from modeler to cabinet. You've gone from iPad to no iPad, and you've gone from lead singer's the boss to sideman's the real pro. I don't even know who you are anymore. This is like...
Listen, if you don't remain curious, you're just going to get stuck in your ways. Yeah, and let me tell you something. I was a sideman last night doing background vocals and running lyrics. And let me tell you, I was working my ass off.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
That one proved itself out. Funnily enough, though, we can transition from that. But again, if you're considering the Power Stage 170 Seymour Duncan guys, like they knocked this thing out of the park. It was phenomenal.
Cool.
And it bums me out because like now I really want to start carrying it again. Because like it was next to our bass player and, you know, he could pop an ear out and he's like, I liked being able to hear it just on stage because normally we just don't have that. So it doesn't really fit into every scenario, but in certain situations, it's nice to have. So I'm very excited about that. But speaking of this whole like flip-flopping situation, last week's episode definitely got the community talking.
Yeah, well, look, it was a hot take. That's the point of a hot take, is to prompt feedback.
Yes. And so I wanted to read a couple of them. One of them from Spotify, the other one from YouTube that came in today. First one, Jeff Grant, who's a part of the Patreon community, said, this episode stepped up the nerd level a bit. Yeah, accurate. He says, not complaining. Cool episode. Harmonies are harder to me. Also, multitasking is challenging. I see Adam's point. So Jeff was on you know, my side. And then this other comment is from a guy named Kevin Galt. Goes by Kevin Galt 9812 on YouTube. Says, I'm a vocalist as well as a pianist, bassist, and guitarist. By far the most difficult thing I do is perform lead vocals. And I find it takes much more preparation and work for the vocals than anything else. For example, if I was in a situation where I had to learn 20 new songs to perform them on stage in a week, I feel like I could do that without a problem on bass, but there's no way I could get 20 new songs into my voice in a week. I spent months learning the lead vocals on one song, Eye of the Tiger. I've never spent months trying to learn a bass line. And I commented back, I was like, interestingly enough, I'm like the exact opposite. I could front a band I'd never met tonight and be totally fine.
Yeah.
And it's just, I guess it's just whatever comes more natural, you know?
Yeah. And what muscle you've exercised.
Yeah. And I think for some folks, it's just whatever feels the most familiar, because I think the way that I internalize music makes it easier for me to just sing. Because I think a lot of stuff you just kind of absorb passively. I've definitely been in a situation where I have to play a song on the spot that I've only heard. I've never actually like tried it before. Yeah. But I feel like it's much easier to do that as a singer than, you know, a guitar player or a bass player, though I've done both.
Yes. I think I agree with you about that, especially, you know, one of those songs you've heard on the radio a bunch of times, but never really tried it out. And suddenly the band starts it and, you know, you can get there. Yeah. Those of us who have kind of musical sensibilities can find our way around those things. My kid, my daughter who's 11, I'm not going to be able to remember what song it was, but in the car, some song started on the radio, some 80s tune, and she was singing right along with it. And I was like, how do you know this? She was like, I don't know. But she's kind of the same way. She just osmoses these things. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of that's been my experience. And I think that's what I hear you saying. Like, some stuff's just in your bones, and how it comes out of you is, maybe that's a personal thing. Maybe somebody on guitar is going to have those chord patterns are going to come falling out of them because they heard and intuited that and had a sense of what the movements were, and other people are just going to have the melody and the lyrics and they're good to go. It's interesting. I've always kind of made the joke. I don't know whether I'm a vocalist who plays guitar or a guitarist who sings. Yep. But on that measure you just said, I'm clearly more of a singer. Yeah, I'm a singer who plays guitar 100%. Yeah. And I love the fact that we can, you know, drum up some conversations. Controversy. There was plenty of that on the Slack channel also. Yeah, straight up argument. Yeah. One of the guys was like, I think this is the first time I've ever disagreed with something you said. And I was like, listen. Wow. For all of the good advice we've given out over the past, 300 and some odd episodes, we were due. Okay. That's right. Yeah. We were due for a bad one. So here it is. Yep. Hopefully, it'll be another 300 and some odd episodes before I say something that, pisses a bunch of people off. Everyone again. Piles on and yeah. Yep. Oh, well. So yeah, that's where we're at. And, got this gig coming up on Saturday, and, it'll be a bit more pared down, less AV, less additional accessories, just kind of a regular show, even with a sub, playing bass, like should be old hat. Cool. So yeah, that's good. Speaking of which, this week being a holiday weekend and things being kind of crazy, just, because I'm in the middle of playing a bunch of stuff, wanted to just kind of go through a couple of short topics that have popped up in the Slack community, because I think it's when we talk about the things that other people are experiencing, probably the rest of you guys are doing it as well. And so we figure we just
pull up a couple of short topics, ruminate on them for a little bit, and we'll push the more pressing, meaty stuff out a week or two so that you guys can get something that's, quick and easy to absorb, and then be on your way by the time this one hits the pod waves, I guess.
Yeah.
So the first one, why don't you take this one? Because this was Kevin posting about a particular song selection.
So one of the channels on the Slack channel is Gig Postmortem, and we get to come in there and either celebrate together or cry together about how gigs go. And today around noon, Kevin Nace from the Alibis posted about a summer experiment they're doing. They're doing it, man. They're doing it. Everybody talks about it. Audiences yell for it, and we're always like, no. These guys are playing Freebird.
Yep.
And he posted a video, and it's good. It's like legit. And they're doing it as part of a medley. They're ending a medley with it. It's like just a verse, a chorus, and a little bit of the solo section. So it's not the full, 8 minutes or something the original is. But I'm very glad to see somebody finally doing Freebird. And I'm glad it wasn't me. But it does work out that it probably is a banger. And the crowd certainly was responding to it in the video that Kevin posted. So
well, and speaking of the video, so the Alibis are up kind of in the northern corridor, kind of coastal area, yes?
Yeah, Philadelphia, actually. They're in Philly.
And they're playing their first gig at the beach for Memorial Day weekend, and they filled up a 3,000 cap room with like a line around the block.
Yeah.
So these guys are just killing it.
Yep.
And I can't think of a better way to celebrate, like, kicking off the summer season than a just massive gig. And this was a video that was shot at that. And it went over like gangbusters.
Yep.
And I feel like even as much as we hear it out and about in the clubs, whatever, I feel like the resurgence of it on TikTok, like it just basically whenever something like Unhinged is about to happen, they use that kind of like that pre-section right before the solo kicks in to like kind of preface what's about to happen and that things are about to like jump up a notch. And so it's in the zeitgeist more than I feel like it has been in the past, I don't know, probably like 10 years. So I think if you're in any sort of situation where Freebird makes sense, like I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, except that it's been a joke. It's been a joke for 30 years, 40 years, and so maybe we're in a post-joke era about Freebird.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of like Freebird is now kind of like in Rickroll territory.
Yeah,
where it started off as like people liked it, and then it became a joke, and then it like came back around. It's like, no, the song is awesome, and we do want to hear it.
Yeah, I told you about the best bit I ever saw a band do, and it was 10 or 15 years ago. It was when Rickroll was like happening very intensely. And they did this, the lead singer did this joke about, well, you know how it is. You get sort of telepathy with your band. You played for a while. You're just in each other's brains. You just know what they are. Like, and she brought somebody up on stage, and the thing was like, whisper your favorite song into my ear, and the band will read my mind and just start playing it. And the girl came up and whispered in the ear, and the band started playing Never Gonna Give You Up. And they went into that, and it was a joke and funny and great. But, using that sort of song in the zeitgeist as a thing we both love and hate at the same time as the joke. This was not a joke. They just landed in this in this medley and played it straight. And the crowd was way into it. So, yeah.
Well, but again, they're playing like the part, that everybody's like.
The core moment. Yeah. The last chorus into the solo section.
Well, and that's the thing that we've always kind of said about it is like, you don't really want to hear Freebird because it's 7 some odd minutes long.
And a dirge. Like the first 6 of it is a bummer.
You want to get it. Yeah. You want to get into the good part, which is that, that last section. So just go for it. Yeah. So if it's something that like you've been mulling it over, like I say go for it.
Do it.
And that seemed to be the consensus. So John Body from Judo Chop was like, I'd been fist pumping to that rendition as well. So, part of the reason why the Slack environment is so awesome is that like, it is very supportive, and you can go in and ask like, hey, I need like the unvarnished truth here.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
Yeah.
So you can get it either way, depending on how you,
Yeah. And I'll tell you that the criticism is still like incredibly kind. It's honest and constructive and looking to build something rather than looking to tear down. It's almost unlike any community I've seen on the internet. It's pretty amazing.
It's like a compliment sandwich. They'll give you the strength. They're going to get you a few of these, and then they're going to be like, and also, yeah, here's the meat, which is the thing you actually need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
It's just it's mutual respect. I think people they know that if you're in there, like you're in there for a good reason, and everybody's kind of assuming positive intent and like trying to be helpful.
Yeah,
which is very nice. Another topic that came up, I think it was like today or maybe yesterday, is how much time do you prefer between Soundcheck and Downbeat? And frankly, I was kind of shocked at how short they were.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're talking about like you're set up, you're done, and then you get a breather before Downbeat. How long do you like that breather to be?
And the going rate, it looks like it's like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We're shooting for 30 minutes consistently. Like, I don't want 30 minutes. I want much longer than 30 minutes.
Do you? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I want like 90 minutes to like 2 hours. Like, I just unloaded all of this gear. So I want to go ahead and get like all of the gremlins worked out of the system. And then I need a minute to just like,
yeah, I'm with you.
Get in the zone.
I usually try to arrive an hour and a half before Downbeat, and I target having everything set up within an hour of hitting the door, which leaves me half an hour to maybe get some food, maybe get a drink.
Yeah.
Chill out a little bit. I like Ando Parisian from Anti-Skip Protection. His comment was, ours too often is, holy crap, we're supposed to be starting already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
That's the least favorite feeling that I have is the I don't have time to like prepare or like get my head in the game.
Downbeat's coming, something's broken.
And yeah, that seems to be the going rate, 30 to 60, primarily to decompress.
When I'm solo, I don't take that much time. I get bored.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get in and get out.
Well, I think it's because with the band situation, well, first off, you have people to be social with, whereas like if you're solo, maybe you say hi to the bartender or the person who booked you, but otherwise your job is to show up, do the thing, and get out without, making too much of a fuss. So, ideally you show up with just enough time to, again, put everything together, work all the gremlins out, and start your thing. Maybe with like time to go to the bathroom and grab a drink or whatever. But otherwise it's, show up, grip it and rip it.
Yeah.
But yeah, gig wise, I want 60 minutes minimum after Soundcheck wraps before we start.
And you usually, you put in contracts that you get space for that, a green room or at least a pipe and drape, something that can fence you off from the general public.
Yeah. Well, because I don't want to play in the stuff I set up in. Like this thing that we did on Sunday, it was outdoors, unshaded, and it wasn't hot necessarily, but like 81 degrees in direct sunlight feels pretty hot.
Loading in, loading out, that's hot.
Yep. So once we finished doing all of the stuff that we needed to do, I was like, I want to go sit in an air-conditioned room and put fresh clothes on to, sweat through. Yeah. But, I just want to have the option to do that because the stuff that I wear to load in is not the stuff I would want to play in. I was wearing like a pair of, Chubby's shorts and a tank top,
right?
Not really the stage ready attire that, our brand typically goes with.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like it's just a good way to kind of get perspective from other folks about like, well, what do you prefer? And, and everybody is different. There's a general consensus, but I think, on either end of the spectrum, you've got folks that are like, no, I just want to show up right before we go. And then the other people's like, no, I need to be able to watch Gone with the Wind between Soundcheck and Downbeat.
Yeah. I need to see the Civil War documentary.
Yes, with the intermission built into it.
Crucially. So shout it out. That question was put in the Slack by John Zaremba from the band Alter Ego in Southern New Hampshire. And great participant in the Slack there.
We have folks from all over. I just want to shout out Matt B because Matt is in Australia, and it's always nice because I feel like I wake up and there's always some action going on because he's on the other side of the world and he's just like wrapping up his night as we're getting up or starting his night actually. So he's had a full 24 hours to do whatever he's doing. So by the time we get back to it, he's been in there laying it down. Also, there's definitely times where like I'm responding to something and I was like, isn't it like 2 a.m. where you are?
What are you doing up? Yeah, totally.
But yeah, there's a bunch of folks like out there that are, all over the place.
I think the other update we can give, and we should probably have him on to give it himself pretty soon here, is Mark Fredrickson, our boy from the band that's starting up from scratch, live in front of all of us.
They have a name now.
They have a name now, but we're going to let him tell you.
Yep.
That gig we were feeling like maybe he didn't have time for, turned out not to be quite what he thought it was, and so they're not going to be doing that one, which is, he feels like probably that's for the best, which I would tend to agree. But they're cranking. We'll have him on to talk about it. He's made big gear upgrades and all kinds of stuff.
Indeed. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah. Big Slack update, but that's the news.
And I did want to note we had 2 new patrons join over the past 24 hours. I sent one the invite this morning that joined immediately, and then another one who hasn't hopped on just yet. It's always good to see fresh folks coming in. And one of the things that we tend to do is that when somebody joins, we're like, we introduce them to the group, and then we ask them to tell everybody about themselves and kind of what they're looking to get out of this particular community, which is just a cool way to kind of like, because there's certain folks that are just really good at certain things. And so it's just a good way to be like, oh, you should talk to this person because they know a lot about this, or maybe somebody's really good at this other particular thing. There was another comment that happened recently about a band that kind of went through some drama, and Schulte was able to help them with some Facebook ad stuff that kind of helped them navigate this weird situation where, somebody had control of their socials that wasn't affiliated with the group anymore, and
it's messy, just super messy.
Well, there was a bit of scorched earth, like, dates that got dropped, loyalty type things. But what he was saying is that over the past few months, like that ended up not being as detrimental as they thought it would. And he was like, Mike showing me this stuff was a big reason why it was
there you go
easier for us.
Not to turn this whole episode into an ad, but you could join this community for the low price of what, Adam?
$5 a month.
$5 a month. So,
or if you do the whole year, you get 10% off. So it's like even less than that. So, and it might feel like an ad. It doesn't feel like an ad to us.
No, because it's just our community.
Yeah. It's a thing that I'm literally in every single day of the week for like basically all day.
Yeah.
And
I always have it open on my computer.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where you get out of it as much as you put into it. And we just love it. So join, don't join, doesn't really matter. One thing I did want to note is that I did look at our numbers, and there are a lot of people in the free tier, and we don't have all the perks that you get for joining it at the $5 level, but I have really tried to put some effort into posting stuff on the free tier, just so that people feel like it's worth, keeping up with us. Mostly kind of behind the scenes stuff. If I find some like a cool piece of gear, or I get a chance to demo something, I was like, check this out. Would you play this? Is this something that you would be into or not? By the time this one comes out, I will have done like a full photo dump from NAMM with a bunch of pictures that I didn't share with anybody except maybe a few folks in the Slack group. I'm going to try to be a bit more diligent about posting there so that folks have stuff to keep up with. This could be a full-time job if I could make it one, but in the meantime, I'm just trying to make sure that, folks feel like they're getting their money's worth, or, wanting to hang out. But that's it, you guys. Hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend if you're in the States and you celebrate that kind of thing. Otherwise, I just hope you had like a fantastic last week in May. It's either about to be summer where you are, or it's about to be winter, depending on what side of the equator you're on.
Right.
And it's just cool that we have the opportunity to talk to people on both sides of that.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and call it for this week. I've got a little bit of work to do. I've got apparently an entire rendition of Call Me Al that I've got to like internalize over the next 4 days.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep up with that adventure, you can sign up for the Slack, I guess. If you'd like to support the show any other way, you can do what you're about to hear. But I'll go ahead and call it for this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You have been listening to the Cover Band Confidential Podcast for the week of May 30th, 2025.